And in doing so, they increase their value. Every single dollar that's printed just means the value of their asset goes up. Because this thing's not going to change. But if you have more money coming after it, its value is going to go up because the more dollars are coming after it.
Too many dollars facing too few goods.
Exactly it. And so here's the scary thing. The top 1.1% has generated $37 trillion in wealth since 1999. Based off of money creation.
Just off of what we've done to manipulate by dollar.
Yes, the rest of us, the median increase in wealth is all of about $250. Because our value is our time.
Sure.
You and I go to work, we get paid a certain amount of money. But when you devalue the dollar, you devalue our time. That's why we have so many people in debt. That's why we have so many people that can't pay their bills. That's why we have to have multiple jobs. Some people are working 2 and 3 jobs. Both parents have to work in order to survive and exist in our country. And because our dollar is the dollar of the world, it's impacted everybody around the world. Because everybody's seen this kind of inflation, but it's because of us and our money printing. Because all the dollars circulate around ours.
It certainly it really isn't super complicated. I know people try to put metrics to it to measure the rate of growth over inflation rate and interest, and it's as simple as you've put it. There just is too many dollars chasing
exactly
what
right.
is the same amount of goods.
So then you may say, well, how many people are we talking about? What is this 1.1%? So it's 130,000 households make up the 0.1%. They generated $80 million each in the last 99 years, or since 1999, since 1999. And then the top 1%, that's 1.3 million people, and they each household on average generated $20 million additional wealth. Again, it just comes back to printing more money. It's not like, and did they invest and do some things for certain people? That's good. But one of the things that I want to say that people are sitting back, well, I'm pretty comfortable. I'm okay. Well, you may be okay because you may be in the top 10%. Mm-hmm. And if you're in the top 10% or 15, you're probably okay because you had some money in that wealth. You got to tag along.
I don't have equity built up in a house that I bought back in the 70s.
The rest of you, you're screwed.
Yeah, it really.
If you're younger, you don't have that time. You don't have the time in a house. Just like my wife and I. I mean, we're in our 50s, and so we own a house, and so we've watched our house go up in value. But you guys don't have that. Think about it. A house just went from 220 to 407 in 3 years. That's unprecedented. That makes it so that if you're in low income or middle income, which a majority of Americans are, you are screwed and you are stuck. And we can fix it. Mm-hmm. And I know we had that conversation as we were heading in here. Can we fix it? We can fix it. It'll take a minute. It'll take a little time, but we can start to pull back. And we have to make some really tough decisions, and so that we don't have these deficits every single year. We have to drive down the cost of regulations. We have to drive down the cost of energy.
Got to stop printing.
Stop printing money, because otherwise you're truly going to have two different. We almost have it. We have this class, the high income class, and everybody else down here. Yep. And because the damage that's been done to our country is significant. We can fix it, but 2024, if we don't get it done, then we're done.
Yeah, I absolutely believe this is a huge year. As we're getting done with 2023, going into 24 in the race, I believe this is our last administration that'll see an effort to dial this back, and hopefully we see this. There are people that are advocating for this that are in office. They need more like yourself.
Yes.
I believe.
And I will give you some hope too. I've been out to D.C. now, I think half a dozen times. And when I get to talk to senators that align with me value-wise, and looking at it, a guy like J.D. Vance or Rand Paul or Senator Cruz, Josh Hawley even, and a few others, Tim Scott, Rick Scott.
Great list.
These are people that get it. They know that our country is off of a cliff. We're falling, and we're falling hard right now, and it's going to take some real strength in people that come and understand this and say, I'll make the tough decision. If I don't get reelected, so be it, but at least I fixed the country.
And it takes a huge sacrifice even to and I'm not talking, it's just a large toll on a person to be willing to make those tough decisions, to go out there. And I've seen exactly what I can't imagine. And I appreciate your not only sitting down with me and not only running, but making those sacrifices.
Absolutely. Well, hey, I got into this because I have 4 children. I have 9 grandchildren, and they're living in an America that is nowhere near the country that I got to live in, and I got to experience. We were number one in everything. We were number one in everything. We were number one in education, in manufacturing, our health, the health of our bodies. We didn't have all these issues with diabetes and heart disease and cancer. We didn't have all this stuff that we're dealing with today. And we didn't have wide open borders. Certainly we had people moving to our country, but not like what's happened. And we had a solid dollar up until 1971, and when we went off the gold standard.
There's no reason why we can't, I believe, bring that back. We were there not so long ago.
It's not that long ago. When you look at the span of 2,000 years, you're like, oh, that's not that long ago. I mean, World War II wasn't that long ago.
And there's scary parallels one could draw with regards to economics and the situation. But I think, again, with communication being like the free flow of information and the ability to open up dialogue and have, like we are,
yes,
it could be the difference that is what I believe, at least personally, I believe what could turn us around.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree.
I think there needs to be more of this.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'll share with you something else from a macro standpoint that I think it's always good to inform people about. The country, and forever we've watched the globe increase in population, and we've watched globalization take place. We've seen specialization after specialization. The jeans I'm wearing has been to 9 different countries before I bought them. Because they're, you start with the growth of cotton, and then that cotton has to be refined, and then it has to go through a chemical treatment process where we actually make the fabric, and then there's the dyeing process, and then eventually there's the stitching. I forgot to even talk about the design where that takes place, and then of course not to mention the zippers and everything else. So we've globalized our industry, not our industry, but our world, and we've done something else. We've allowed populations to grow in countries that cannot self-provide. They couldn't take care of their own population. If all of a sudden we said, hey, guess what? Global trade is going to come down. Even if it came down just a few percentage points, you would start to see mass starvation, and they will not be able to take care of themselves. So we've done something that's really risky with regards to...
At their expense.
At a lot of people's expense. So 2 things that are going on right now in our world. We're seeing depopulation. And it's because 40 years ago, people stopped having babies in an alarming high rate. Today, in the United States, we're at the lowest birth rates in the history of our country.
Is that what birth control does?
Well, and a lot of people are afraid to have children because, well, either they've been put in fear, like the world's going to end in 12, or I can't. What am I going to do? How can I take care of a child because it's too expensive?
If you're not thriving, you should. It doesn't.
That's right. I'm surviving. How in the heck can I bring a child into this world? So that's happening today. But 40 years ago, people started doing this, and so China is depopulating faster than any other country. Russia's not too far behind them. Japan, of course, is already depopulated. Korea's depopulating. Germany, Italy, Spain, Canada, many countries are depopulating, and it's cooked in the books. There's not enough 20 or 30-year-olds to have more children. So that is something that we have to be aware of, and we have to countries need to think forward in terms of, okay, let's just look at China, for example. Currently, China is aging out, so these people won't have near as many workers as they once did. Mm-hmm. Also, when people retire, they put their hands back in their pocket. Yeah. Money is not being spent, so the economy starts to shrink. And you got it, because in order to have a solid economy, you have to have mature workers, young workers, and children. Your older have experience and capital. These are your consumers, and of course they're raising the children so that you have more coming behind you, and that is starting to collapse all over the world. Now, in the next 2 decades, it's going to be an amazing thing to watch happen, but there are going to be certain countries that are going to have a difficulty just feeding their own population.
That's where, like, if it isn't already well aware, the scary part of that is that this will cause unneeded suffering on a large scale. And it will displace, there'll be opportunity for not good things to happen.
Exactly. And the other part of that, the second part is, so the depopulation. The other thing is that the only reason why trade takes place throughout the world is because of us, because of the United States Navy. We patrol all waterways. That allows China to ship their goods. China has the longest shipping route than any other country. It also allows Iran. It allows all the Middle Eastern countries, all the European countries, South America countries. All countries can trade because of us. The American electorate is tired of being the policeman of the world, and you can see politically, pull back. We don't want to be. It's time to pull back, please. And it's happening. So as that starts to happen, well, now think about the Somalia pirates. Think about bad actors such as Iran hiring said Somalia pirates or to go do bad things on behalf of them. And as that starts to happen, cost of shipping is going to go like this.
Absolutely. It's going to deteriorate what are good shipping, trading routes.
It doesn't mean that we still won't ship globally. We will. And we'll still have global trading partners, but it's going to shrink. So as me looking forward in this role, I see this path coming forward, and I see, well, wow. We need more families. We got to drive down the cost for more families, because in order to have a future America, we have to have that in place. So we need to incentivize that. We also need to make sure we do have great infrastructure, low cost of production of our energy. We're actually going to see steel manufacturing come back to the United States of America, and we're going to do more things than we used to do that we've outsourced all over the world. But one of the countries, there's basically 3 countries that can self-provide: Australia, us, and Canada. France is actually in pretty good shape too. Surprisingly, they're pretty self-sufficient.